This game is honestly one of the worst things I've ever played in my life.
I heard that this game was so bad that it actually got delayed for how bad it was.
These amounts of disrespect, not just for the characters.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
When you grab your controller to dive into this world, you'll notice something familiar yet new. Picture this. Smooth movement that's a delightful blend of Sunset Overdrive's flair with a sprinkle of that signature Arkham finesse. And sure, there's no gliding, but you can dive bomb from skyscraper heights and slide into a traversal move like you're auditioning for the coolest superhero entrance. When it comes to fast travel, it's never been a feature in a Rocksteady game, and that's because they've always wanted players to explore their world, to notice things like their Riddler trophies, to experience cool new Easter eggs, although they do have one spot that you can fast travel to, the Hall of Justice. But a lot of the things that you can get done at the Hall of Justice is something that you can do on the fly. Pretty much 90% of what you can do at the Hall of Justice can be done in your menu, making it easier to jump back into the action after a few tweaks of your character. Now when it comes to battling your enemies, it's not just about beating them with your melee weapon. Oh no, it's about dancing through the chaos. You can slide into an enemy, knock them off a building, send them airborne, shoot, juggle them, and seamlessly continue your combo onto the next villain. You can even mess with your foes by slowing them down or unleashing Diablo Blaze for a swift takedown. Using any of these afflictions helps you in your combat to speed up your takedowns and also help you keep up your combos. Many of your weapons are going to be inspired by in-world companies like Armortech, LexCorp, and you can even get your hands on items inspired by DC villains. Imagine this, using the Bizarro gun, and guess what? It reloads backwards. That's some mind-blowing attention to detail right there. Speaking of which, if you fill your slots with a particular DC villain, you'll gain this feature called Villain Synergy, which will provide you with additional stat bonuses that will make you feel downright diabolical. But the real showstopper here is the skill tree. Some critics might overlook this, but trust me, it's like choosing your superhero power. Whether you're buffing up your weapons, melee moves, or traversal skills, each branch adds a flavor to your gameplay. And here's the kicker. You can mix and match, rearrange, and redefine your playstyle after hitting level 30. No penalties, just pure, unadulterated freedom. And don't believe the myth that these enemies in the game are all the same. For one, obviously, you have the boss battles with the Justice League. Personally, my favorite boss battle was the Flash. I thought that was the most interesting battle, and then Green Lantern. But the enemies that you're going to be fighting the most are the Corrupted Forces, which are humans that were taken up by Brainiac and converted into living weapons. You have snipers, which requires you to counter them, just like in Arkham. Shielded goons that you need to break their shields. Again, in Arkham, actually you would maneuver the shielded enemies, but you get what I'm saying. Bombers, which change the entire field because they will shoot heavy artillery onto the field. Destroyers are like, technically they're the bullet sponges of this game because they're a little bit harder to take down. Every encounter is a chaotic symphony. They're very different, and at the same time it's fun. And in addition to those base enemies, you have infused enemies. These are those same corrupted forces, but now they have the powers of the Flash or the abilities of Batman. The Flash infused enemies are harder to slow down. If you have Boomerang's ability, you cannot really use your Speed Force to slow them down. And Batman's infused enemies hide their intention, so it's a lot harder to identify whether or not you should be countering them. In addition to those enemies, you have vehicles, which are like helicopters and tanks, of which add an additional layer to this gameplay. Unfortunately, this is the part where the game falls apart for me. Not because I can't get over the idea of this team killing these great superheroes. The problem lies in how it's handled. It makes sense that the villains would taunt and revel in the death of these heroes, antagonizing them to the very end. However, the deaths ring hollow, and I think that's because we don't get to see the reaction of the world. Yes, We get to see Lois Lane reporting after each death, explaining how much they mean to her. But I believe a more powerful moment would have surfaced by showing how the people of this world are reacting to the situation. For example, in the Flash fight, Boomerang is antagonizing the Flash live to draw him out of hiding. This could have been an effective way to showcase that this team is attempting to kill the Justice League, keeping the feed live to the world for everyone to witness the demise of the Justice League, and in cutting to people's reaction could have added depth. Some reactions might be positive as they take action against the perceived atrocities of these heroes, but for the most part, people are upset, and they should be. These are heroes that protected them for so long, and now these villains who've caused so much trouble in their society are killing them. It should have been shown that people were placing all their hope into Wonder Woman saving these heroes and saving the lost souls that are in Metropolis. And when Wonder Woman finally dies, everyone loses faith, realizing that there's no other way around this, forcing people to put their fate into the hands of the Suicide Squad. In addition to being a problem for the story, we don't really get an explanation of why some of these characters hate the League. We understand why Harley hates Batman, but a true explanation in-game cutscenes of why Boomer hates the Flash, why Deadshot hates Green Lantern, or even why Lex Luthor hates Superman is missing.
I've dreamed of seeing my Superman broken before his own pompous statue.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Collecting Riddler's trophies might provide a bit more detail, but that's something that really shouldn't be left out of the main story. It should be a part of the story so that people can have a better understanding, and then you can add additional context with trophies. Unfortunately, the only thing that shines in the story is the comedy, and comedy is subjective, so some people will like it and others won't.
Fruit. And what does that make ketchup?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Personally, I found a few moments in this game funny, with Boomer and King Shark being the funniest characters. For example, in the Flash fight, Flash steals Boomer's clothes mid-fight and gives him Flash underwears. I initially thought my game bugged out, but it turned out to be a pretty funny gag. It's moments like these that make it feel that they duct tape a lot of cracks in the story, because the comedy is there to outshine some of the darker moments. When it comes to this game's performance, I personally haven't faced many issues, if any. Throughout my playtime, I've encountered maybe 1 or 2 bugs, and most of the time these bugs auto-corrected on their own. For instance, there's a loading issue that some players that I've seen do their review saw, that where enemies take a moment to officially appear. I noticed this when playing solo. The last bug I faced preventing me from playing endgame content with friends. Rebooting the game and jumping back in fixed it. Other than that, I haven't had any issues. No crashes, and boss battles worked fine. While I might be in the minority, the people I played with haven't reported any crashes or errors. The only thing I'm aware of is that at launch, players did have an issue where the full story was unlocked, which caused Rocksteady to shut down the server. Visually, the game is stunning. If you take the time to look at character design, you can see a lot of detail, like textures in clothing. Facial animations are really amazing here. However, there are some drawbacks. Weather doesn't seem to affect my character as much. When it rains, characters' clothes don't change, unlike in Arkham Knight where Batman's cowl would get wet. Still, reflections work really well in the game, so I'll give it that. This game may not be everyone's cup of tea. However, if you are a die-hard DC fan like myself, this isn't up for a debate. It's a game that you should have gotten on release or damn near release. That doesn't mean that everyone should pick it up for $100 or $80. You know your own financial situation. So if this is something that you can't get right away, wait for it to go on sale. But if you're any kind of DC fan, whether casual or diehard, you should be playing this game, whether on sale or right away. This game isn't for anyone who's not familiar with these characters. It's not for anyone who's struggling with the idea of their favorite characters meeting their demise again, and again. Please spare us of your comments about these characters being destroyed or tarnishing the legacy of a legendary voice actor. This game is not for you. You are too weak-minded. to play this game. We've seen Superman, Batman, the entire league die at least once. This isn't the end for these characters. They always come back. And as for Kevin, he picked this role. He read the script. He understood what he was reading. And unfortunately, we'll never get him back, but he has a huge library of work that we can rewatch and also play. There are so many ways that we can experience his new take on Batman. To wrap it up, this game is pretty good. It has amazing qualities to it. The only hiccup is the story. It needs some adjustments. I've made some tweaks in this review because this game is an ongoing live service and I'm holding off my final score until the first season unfolds, but I'm leaning towards